The culture is actually damn good.
We're not urinating on fire.
You can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling the defense.
What I talked to Russell about is none of your business.
Both games.
How many people do you think Indianapolis would kill to get their hands on another generational QB like Trevor Lawrence? He's starting to blossom into something special. And the key for the Jags is to simply stay the course. There was no need to splurge in free agency because, let's be honest, they did that last year. All there is to do is extend Andrew Wingard and make Evan Engram so valuable that Jacksonville franchise tagged him. The rest are mainly small moves, but a big announcement was made. Remember when they traded for Calvin Ridley? Well, he's been reinstated, free to catch NFL passes with his dazzling talent again. Players, this is a friendly reminder to properly cover your tracks when violating league protocol. Remember, use a username that you've never used before. Also, VPNs are your friend.
The Jacksonville Jaguars select Anton Harrison, tackle, Oklahoma.
Jacksonville's replacement for Jawan Taylor on the O-line. Harrison can play it, so welcome to the resurgent Duval. Your job will be protecting the Golden Goose in Trevor Lawrence. Think you can handle it? If not, there are plenty of other candidates for the job. Maybe some of the lottery tickets they had in the later rounds. Best of luck, Anton. The easy comparison to make to this Jags team is the euphoria they felt after Jacksonville in 2017. But honestly, this is completely different. They actually have a real quarterback for starters. Trevor Lawrence's emergence into a true superstar will be the utmost priority. And he was making great strides in that regard last season. With the surprises around him, mainly Calvin Ridley returning to the game, Christian Kirk playing up to his contract, and Evan Engram discovering he has hands, they'll be looking for a repeat performance. If things go to plan, it may very well be a new age in Jacksonville. And it certainly will be for their stadium. It'll be undergoing a massive renovation to make it state-of-the-art. Which means the Jags are going to be homeless for 2 seasons. Hopefully this team won't be lost in the shuffle. Just be thankful you don't have to deal with the endless London rumors anymore. Or a PR campaign trying to make Urban Meyer look human. In the AFC East, regardless of competition, the Bills are still the best in class in my opinion. AFC North, barring more injury to Joe Burrow, Cincy takes it with their elite offense. The AFC South, it's Jacksonville's to lose. They have to win it by default, right? Although we did say that about Tennessee last year. And the AFC West is a Kansas City affair. As usual. Wild cards, though, they're really hard to gauge. Pick them out of a hat, I guess. Ravens, Chargers, and Jets. Why Jets? Because this is usually how ridiculous it tends to be. Sue me. I'm sorry for all the teams I jinxed as always. I regret nothing. Welcome to the NFL, rookie. Anthony Richardson will do okay. Really, he was able to not look like a complete greenhorn? Very well then. It unfortunately doesn't mean a damn thing for the Colts despite their defense going balls out in a blaze of glory. Perhaps if the offense could convert on a 4th down every once in a while or hold on to the football, maybe then they could have stolen this game in the dead of night. Fortunately for them, Jacksonville wasn't all that keen on pushing forward with any sort of success. Thank you, Colts defense, playing your goddamn lights out. Things seemed manageable, though, until one moment in particular.
First down and 20. Oh! Lawrence hit as he got rid of the football.
This is still a live ball. The refs have not signaled anything.
And it is taken all the way back into the end zone by DeForest Buckner.
But this be a lesson to you kids. When you don't hear the whistle, keep playing. The ball's still live. It's very fortunate that the Colts are the epitome of raw and lacking their best weapon on offense, or else they may have been able to do something. What a pity, falling short yet again in week 1. For the 10th year in a row. You're gonna get AR killed with the way you're using him. If you were to ask me which game would be the lowest scoring affair of the week, I doubt anyone would have said Kansas City against Jacksonville. As is always said, truth is stranger than fiction. It could be because Chris Jones is back. It could be because the Jags defense is a sturdy unit. It could be because Jawan Taylor lost his greatest superpower. I don't know what was in the air in Duval, but it was an incredibly messy game for both offenses. It wasn't like the Jags didn't have chances, they couldn't do anything. Stymied on so many angles. Even when they get down to the goal line, they get stuffed. The Chiefs still had plenty of struggles on offense without Eric Bieniemy, but their defense held their own. Or perhaps it's just because Calvin Ridley couldn't keep both feet in the end zone. Yeah, it was that kind of game for Jacksonville. Kansas City escapes. I'd call it as pretty as a burning pile of sludge, but you do what you have to do to win. That's always the goal. So Jacksonville, are you going to explain to us what the fuck is wrong with your offense? This is the second straight week against a supposedly bad defensive opponent where everything has looked out of sorts. Not even somewhat, but entire wiring and mainframes are borked. Calvin Ridley apparently can't catch a damn pass or do anything right these days. Field goals are blocked away as if they are nothing at all. And that's if they even get into field goal range. There was an elite quarterback today, and his name was CJ Stroud. The Texans are down 4/5 of their starting O-line and you still can't stop them? Is this an actual repeat of the Saxonville arc? Trevor Lawrence is throwing to Butterfinger receivers that fumble at the most inopportune times. And then there's your special teams unit, putting together one of the most embarrassing return coverages I've seen in my life. You gave up a kickoff return on a muffed fly ball kick to a fullback. Proof that greatness can strike us from anywhere. Know how this is true? The Texans have beaten the Jags in 10 of their last 11. A reminder that Houston's been a tank brigade since 2020. Better get your shit together quick, Duval. It's starting to reach panic time. Wow, kids, look at all these toys that Arthur Smith has to play with. Mint condition Kyle Pitts, a limited edition Drake London. You can't even find Bijan before he's ripped off the shelves. But Arthur Smith isn't like all the other boys. He likes to play with a 2003 Dodge Neon that's lost a wheel. Jacksonville needed a rebound game badly. And good thing they're up against Desmond Ridder. They picked him apart like their name was Sid Phillips. Ritter's like Forky. He's trash. In the confines of their second home in London, the Jags took care of business convincingly and then some. Merely toying with their prey before putting them out of their misery. Remember the scene with the incinerator in Toy Story 3? Just like that, except without the Deus Ex Machina. Yes, this segment was corny as all hell. Did the Falcons really deserve better today? You figured out the defense against Buffalo's relentless rampage across America. Make the team play a game out of America. Against an offense that's been destroying opponents for the last 3 weeks, Jacksonville spread them like they were beans on toast. The Jags defense forced the Bills to become one-dimensional. So much so that they repeatedly clamped them down whenever they had a chance. 7 of 11 Bills drives gaining less than 20 yards. Beating them at their own game. And the Jags offense would do just enough to get them another needed dub. Thus deluding Londoners into thinking they are the early 90s Cowboys reincarnate. Now, only if they could do something about randomly imploding in the red zone. That could be a useful improvement. But that's a smaller concern, it's all good, you got the win. Buffalo, however, must sacrifice another piece for going berserker mode. Matt Milano. He's out for the year. It's turning into the same shit as last year with them, I swear to God. This game is somehow for sole possession of the AFC South. Ponder that as you congratulate the Jags on the win. Games in Duval, the Colts have absolutely no chance. For whatever reason, regardless of month or who they throw out there, Indy inexplicably reverts back to a JV team. Is it the humidity? No. Is it a curse involving Mayflower trucks? Is it something else? Gardner Minshew had his chance at revenge. He hadn't thrown a pick all season to this point. Against his old team, he had 3 of them. And the running game had nothing as well. The Jags offense, meanwhile, had a calm, efficient day, which is a much-needed sight for sore eyes. Indianapolis doesn't have this joy. It's their 8th straight loss in Duval. And their new AR toy isn't just broken, he might need season-ending surgery. This franchise really is cursed. The NFL is so arrogant that they're subjecting a national audience to Pete Carmichael's play calling. For the 4th quarter will all be Al Michaels as we lose all passion and sanity. What Saints offense do you want to experience this time around? Checkdowns to Alvin Kamara or checkdowns to Alvin Kamara? We need 200% more Taysom Hill. Get a failed 4th down conversion with each checkdown. As you consider this, Jacksonville with an ailing Trevor Lawrence dissects a sluggish Saints defense to jump out to a rather sizable lead. To no one's surprise, New Orleans is dead in the water, sinking in the damn bayou itself. The fans are rightfully pissed as red zone drives continually fail and Derek Carr's missing every damn receiver in sight. This car then drives an interception right for delivery and gives Jacksonville a pick 6. It fuels revenge. The Saints defense decides they've had enough shit and clamps down on anything the Jags throw at them. Oh, Jacksonville, why must you be so consistently inconsistent on offense this year? All you need is that and you're a legit contender. Same as the Saints, who magically get good at it once they go into the no-huddle. I wonder why. New Orleans erases a 15-point deficit in the blink of an eye. But Payne is a Saints fan. Cue more sinking into the bayou on defense thanks to Christian Kirk making magic happen for a touchdown. Bad news, folks. The Saints offense. It happened yet again. They march down to the goal line on the final drive, only to then fire aimlessly into the air 4 consecutive times. Real question though. You have all of this talent at the skill positions, and you're throwing to Foster Moreau. You deserve to lose this game because of that shit alone. The match ends up like most passes by Carr in the red zone. Overthrown. Consider this reason number 87 as to why I have no faith in the Saints to do anything. Everyone will blame Moreau for this, but you know what's really at fault? 3 for 18 on third down and 2 for 5 in the red zone. Another outstanding performance by the Saints offense. There comes a time when the endless bullshit must stop. All the fluke occurrences and opponents imploding will not be enough to pull out a win. On a miserable day in Pittsburgh, the Steelers were simply miserable. More offensive ineptitude despite the endless opportunities handed to them. But all signs did point to a black and gold win. Their opponent repeatedly self-destructing in strange and unusual ways to keep them within a score in the first half. But apparently the football gods have had enough. Ref ball repeatedly fucks them with terrible penalties to give Jacksonville momentum. Amplifying it, Minka went down with injury. And Kenny Pickett was taken for rapture.
Oh my god! They've killed Kenny! You bastards!
They must rely on kissing the titties to field goals, as they get called for offsides on the starting guard? Was he even offsides? Did they ever call that penalty? The second field goal's missed, momentum officially sapped. Canadian offense remains stereotypically inoffensive for most of the second half, and Jacksonville remains frustratingly inconsistent on offense. It's a Pittsburgh kind of football game, yet the Jags are besting them at it. I'd hope for a comeback, but kissing titties is not Kenny Pickett in the clutch. There will only be arm punts to the Hope defense. Not good when it's against the team that equals you in takeaway prowess. In ugly circumstances, Jacksonville pulls away from Steeler bullshit with the dub, and now control their own destiny. Now let's do something about that offensive consistency, please. San Francisco has been under a rough spell for the last month or so. It's with great pleasure for me to announce that they used their bye week to undergo a dungeon quest. They fought through hell and back to find the antidote to their woes. Deebo Samuel returning. Apparently, he is the key to the Niners' offense going from sluggish as hell to an absolute machine. Jacksonville is supposed to be one of the elite of the AFC. With how their offensive line was getting eaten alive all game long. Did they even prepare for this team? It was 60 minutes of pure misery. A nightmare of terror by the 49ers where the torture was prolonged until they lost all will to live. Only then would the Jags get the sweet release of death. An orgy of destruction and mayhem in only a way San Francisco can provide. These are the Niners we expected to see recently. Several days later, Jacksonville's gonna wake up in an alleyway with everything taken and ask themselves, what the fuck happened? Tennessee is dying. They have been for quite a bit. Scrounging for scraps of life support while their opponents kick them into the dirt whenever they try to move. In the harsh climate of Duval, the Titans were stripped bare and left to rot. Only the unforgiving sun beating down on them until they are slowly sapped of their remaining life. Any chance of escape fumbled upon them. Jacksonville merely drives away from the scene, satisfied with a win and a job well done. Tennessee can only stare into the abyss of the sun, eventually becoming delirious due to dehydration. They see fat guy touchdowns by Jeffrey Simmons in a fever dream. It's the only thing they'll want to remember from this beatdown. Probably the easiest win the Jags will have all year, if we're being honest. Call me crazy, but I never saw this matchup as having huge implications for the AFC South at the start of the year. A battle of young quarterbacks to prove who will have superiority over the division. Know how it'll be good? Watch as Stroud flings a deep bomb to Tank Dell effortlessly, as it's undone by an alleged illegal shift penalty. We have to give credit to the real stars of the show, the officials. Some of the penalties that were being called in this match were baffling to the mind. Both sides suffered some of the most heinous ref ball we've seen in a few weeks. It's third down near the goal line. Houston will get called for defensive pass interference. Wait, this is pass interference? Okay then, touchdown Jacksonville. The fight will continue on regardless, with great skill and talent bringing a show to the crowd in attendance. The Jags holding on for dear life and yearning for more. If Doug Peterson simply chose to take the points at half. To be fair, not on him for this interception, that just happens. CJ Stroud also just happens, and leads a touchdown drive to take the lead. But do you know what this game needs? More defensive pass interference. Not good enough, it's a flag one, get one free deal. Did I mention that this officiating crew likes calling defensive pass interference? Jacksonville retakes control of the game. And Houston's trying to bring it back from a 10-point deficit, but somehow can't get out of their own way sometimes. Rookie mistakes, I guess. Would Brendan McManus missing a kick be considered a rookie mistake? I guess that just happens. Same as Stroud engineering a touchdown drive to get back within 3. There's going to be one more chance for Houston here. They do everything they can to get close, but must settle for the fringes of field goal range. It's desperation time in Houston. They're once again forced to trust Matt Amendola.
From 58 yards away, it's on line. Does it have the distance? No! It's short!
Off the crossbar. A fitting way to end this game. At this rate, the refs would probably flag the uprights for pass interference. Yes, this crew's probably going to be reffing a championship game in January. That's just how it goes. Cincinnati's got a tough road ahead of them, especially considering they now have to travel to Duval to face a team gunning for the #1 seed in the AFC. The scriptwriters of this game chose not to give us the typical blowout fare, but to institute a few twists. The main one being that the Bengals would revive their sluggish offense under the might of Jake Browning? Now that's a twist worthy of Shyamalan. The man isn't just besting this Jaguars defense, he's mincing it into puree. Jacksonville's sitting around stunned. Our team can't stop this? It's a highly competitive game? Who knew that this matchup, one minus a franchise quarterback, would turn into a tense stare down before a duel? The fight continues on all tied up. But first, a football aneurysm.
From the 25, this is Boyd. That's behind the line of scrimmage. He's looking to throw, and he throws a pick.
Excuse me. What the fuck is this? You threw it right to the defender, man. Never, ever let Tyler Boyd throw a pass again. I think I suffered brain damage watching that. Jacksonville now has control of the game. Barely. Okay, here's the part where Duval manages to bowl ahead and bury their opponents. The Bengals have had their fun. There's no other reason to let this drag out further. It's unfortunate that the Jacksonville defense never got this memo. Jake Browning is continuing his relentless undressing of them on the main stage, all the way down the field to tie the game again. Panic fills the air in Duval. With such a mess on display, there's no way this can get worse. And there goes Trevor Lawrence. Panic turns to outright despair. But the way he's reacting, and how that replay looked, this might mean the end of their season. I don't want to make this worse, but Brandon McManus pushed the field goal wide. The game's still tied. Sorry, kids, the orphanage isn't going to be built as Cincinnati stole all the funds for it on a field goal to take the lead. You'll have to rely on C.J. Beathard. The dude was ass in San Francisco. Good luck there. Just leading them down the field? Damn, I guess there is a first time for everything. Not enough to take the lead, but a field goal for overtime will suffice for the moment. Jacksonville has a chance to do the unthinkable. I can't believe it. A deep pass to Calvin Ridley at the goal line. But a holding call ruins it. That's pretty fringe for a game-changing penalty, since he holds and does the thing where they push into Jacksonville territory. Crowd so stunned you can hear a pin drop. And now for Evan McPherson to kill them off for good.
He got it.
The Bengals may have saved their season with this win. I don't know if Jake Browning ever does this again, but what an incredible performance. Upending a heavy favorite like this? Jacksonville had a chance at glory, and now all they can do is hope to God their season isn't ruined. Fortunately, Trevor Lawrence only has a high ankle sprain. But with the hounds of the AFC at their door, it's going to be an unbelievable challenge. If their defense keeps having communication issues, it'll be tough to even play the soft schedule they have. So Doug's saying crowd noise was a factor in that? Dude, you were playing at home. Wait a second. Trevor Lawrence is starting today? After what happened on Monday night? Pretty ballsy to be coming out with a high ankle sprain, but never question the fortitude of an NFL player. Or question the fortitude of the Browns. Who the hell knew that their best quarterback this season would be Joe Flacco? Even with him sitting on a couch for most of the year, Flacco's reviving to his old Ravens days. He loves him some tight ends. David Njoku, congratulations, here's one of the best games of your career. The Browns defense will do the rest. Turns out that starting a quarterback days after a major injury with limited mobility isn't exactly the best idea in the world. Trevor's channeling his inner check down Joe and arm punting the ball with the greatest of precision. The Jags have replaced their ability to play football with becoming pastry chefs. 4 turnovers on the day, resulting in a team scrambling to find answers. In Jacksonville, your defense can't do every single thing for you. Great, they made it close in garbage time. Woohoo, it means nothing. Duval's in deep shit if they can't get it together consistently. Cleveland sits back laughing in delight. And Flacco's earned himself a great honor. A permanent starting QB gig. I mean, he is the best one they've had all year. It makes sense. If Jacksonville was panicking already, good lord, this matchup spiraled it all the way to DEFCON 1. Baltimore is a tough opponent in general, but with the way the Jags botched everything, it shows that they're suffering from the same damn problems that have plagued them all year. Where does it show the most? If you haven't been paying attention, it's the offense. Particularly red zone execution. Start with Brandon McManus making us all want Taco Bell. Then we apparently all got diarrhea from it, and McManus just shit a kick wide. The defense is giving the Jags a chance to do something with a bad pass by Lamar. But T-Law got happy feet scrambling and dropped the ball like it was a New Year's Eve countdown. It's most unfortunate that the Ravens managed to unleash their full attack on the next drive as Jackson works his typical mastery of rush evasion. Easy touchdown to make it 10-0. Jacksonville has an answer though. A deep pass to Zay Jones to get near the goal line. Time ticking down just before half. And they don't spike the ball? They threw a 1-yard out route? This is the same shit that got Dougie P fired in Philly. That first half cost them the damn game. Of course, Baltimore would continue to pile on. With Duval's offense out of sorts, there was nothing they could do. A potential #1 seed a few weeks ago has now fallen to 3 straight losses. And a 3-way tie for the AFC South. The only saving grace is that they have a soft schedule to end the year, but concerns are rampant. Not in Baltimore, though. They have the world at their fingertips. And their greatest challenge is coming up. January's past can once again be avenged. Jacksonville isn't just in panic mode anymore. They're simply dead. Stone cold, haphazardly buried in the ground with limbs sticking out necrotizing in the freezing air. I thought things were bad in Duval these past few weeks. Good lord, against Tampa Bay, everything's completely fallen apart. The offense destroyed. Their offensive line can't block anything on Twitter. Trevor Lawrence visibly injured and shouldn't be fucking playing. The defense, they made the Bucs revert back to world-beating form for a second straight week. Flinging flames from the ether to further secure tank division. Baker Mayfield ripped and tore the absolute shit out of a franchise in the revenge tour from hell. Chariots of fire rising from the ground carrying a harbinger of the apocalypse on a throne of skulls. And took out Trevor Lawrence's shoulder while riding around the field. Just let the dude rest. To call this a convincing win for the Bucs would imply that the Jags put forth any sort of effort. It didn't feel like they did at all. 4 straight losses. Jacksonville's only saving grace is that Houston and Indy both lost. And they play the Panthers next week. That's gonna be an easy win, won't it, Jacksonville? Won't it? Oh boy, Jacksonville is in a death spiral and it's only getting worse. Trevor Lawrence has been playing injured for weeks. And the Jags finally realize the best option is to let the dude rest. CJ Beathard is now the man under center and it's as dire as it looks. Thank the good Lord above that this is their free space game. They've been gifted a matchup against an insult to football. Even in Duval's brutally weakened state, it's still no contest. That says a hell of a lot more about Carolina, for being honest. Just cutting base roughly the past 15 weeks of sports balls and calling a recap. Is there any point in going into detail? If we do, you get serious concerns about Bryce Young at this level and a move that may have set the team back half a decade. Considering he's the one that meddled, David Tepper would rather not think about reality. We'll just chuck a drink at some Jags fans instead. The most resistance Carolina showed all game. Jags, take the win, run, and don't look back. You have the Titans next week in control of your own destiny. Breathe and pray. Trust in Josh Allen and the spirits on high. With the Pittsburgh and Houston victories, this matchup has become must-win for Jacksonville to stay alive. Anything else will be failure. Did anyone bother to tell the Jags that this was gonna happen? The Titans have been waiting a long time for this moment. Remember last year, Duval? When Tennessee completely collapsed at the end of the year, allowing you to pounce on their rotting carcass at home? They never forgot that defeat. They're gunning for revenge. The potential final game of Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill as Titans. And as the sun rises, the king will ride forth into battle. One last time. and the Red Dawn, Forte Erlingus. King Henry is rumbling down the mountainside, killing off any defender in his path. And a reeling Jacksonville team can only watch as their dreams crumble beneath them. Their great fortress is breached, and the ransacking of whatever hasn't decayed is beginning. All the Jaguars can do is watch in stunned silence. All has failed. Everything is dying on them. Will Trevor Lawrence answer the call? He cannot. He is injured and lame, but his regression is serious, and his foolhardiness is getting him killed in battle. The vaunted defenses are nothing but Josh Allen. Everything else has ceased functioning. The dreams of Saxonville are melting away into a bleak nightmare scenario. This team was once 8-3 with the #1 seed in the AFC in sight. Since that point, they've only won once, and that was against Carolina. This isn't even an implosion. This is a cratering to the loss of carnal knowledge. All information acquired in the art of football has been lost, and the only thing left is a trophy signifying them of being lolcow of the week, a reversion to the original standard, and ironically paralleling last year's Titans. With victory, they secure both revenge and closure for a lost era. Well, the only era happening in Jacksonville? Fucking lapsed. What the fuck was that? This team was looked at as a potential contender? With the year the Jags had, it's giving me vibes of Saxonville Abbey. Things felt iffy the whole time, especially with their offense. It never got out of second gear. Receivers not catching the ball, full court press Taylor, and Trevor Lawrence developing a rather nasty turnover habit. It was perilous, but even then, with how weak the AFC South was with Jacksonville running out to an 8-3 start, there was no way they were gonna shit themselves and miss the dance entirely, we told ourselves. On-field diarrhea. This was an implosion rivaling last year's Titans. Speaking of them, they got revenge after you stabbed them in the back. At least they were destroyed by injury. What the hell's Duval's excuse? Their only win in December or January was against fucking Carolina. Self-immolation on all fronts. Trevor's flaws laid bare as he's forced to play through a high ankle sprain. Misalignment throughout the offense. A defense laid to waste as it could no longer rely on Josh Allen going ham. We had to suffer through Pittsburgh in the playoffs because of these fuckers. And what's worse is that little will change besides a few token sacrifices. It mirrors AEW. Incredible hype and flash only to hollow out due to mismanagement and complacency. Now the hounds of doubt are circling. Will they ever wake up?